Testing. Testing. Hello and welcome to Court A at Lee Westwood Sports Centre, the second day of the first weekend of the National League Championships. We're looking at Bournemouth v Forest here. Newish look Bournemouth, Sevenoaks, Boswell in goal, King, Berry and Hannam in the squad, and currently Hannam on the subs bench, and Nottingham Forest, Cooper, Priestley, Bosanquet in goal, Meakin and Rogers, with Rogers on the subs bench. Just a minute in, the fourth game for both of these teams, and tough start for both of them. 3 games, no points yet. So it's Nick Woodward speaking, and I've also got on co-commentary Dean Williams. And this is the first time I've used this commentary kit, so I don't know if Dean's live or whether I do have to press a button to switch.
That's a very good question. That sounds better. That sounds better. So I'm now here. Hello, everybody. Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Can you get both of us at the same time? Can you get both at the same time? No. All right, we'll figure this one out. I'm very well, thank you, Dean. Are you good? You enjoyed your weekend so far?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Just saying, we've got 2 teams had a tough day yesterday. No wins, quite a few goals shipped. So I guess they'll be looking to take away, one of them looking to take away 3 points. A draw doing neither of them any particular favours, and some new players that I haven't seen in the National League before. Cooper, number 24, on the left wing as you look up the court. Berry on the far left for Bournemouth. In goal, Boswell. I think that's the number 18, isn't it? So I'll go and check with Dean about the switch. Not with Dean, with Ryan about the switch. So I'll leave you to talk through your experiences of Nottingham and Bournemouth yesterday and how that might affect the game.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that slight technical issue there in terms of trying to get both the mics aligned at the same time. So, yeah, I did get to the benefit of seeing both the teams yesterday. As Nick has already said, that they'll be desperate, I think, to get some points from this game, both sides. So I'm expecting this to be quite a competitive game in terms of how they match up. Hopefully we get some good football to witness the result of that. I did happen to see, I was commentating on the other game a few moments ago, but I did happen to see, I think it might be the first game this morning, Chris King, very jubilant goal that he'd scored, and then unfortunately it wasn't down to Chris at all. There was one that came, ricocheted off his chair and went into his own net as well in that particular game. So I'm sure both teams here will be targeting this as an opportunity to get points on the board. And
I think we'll be targeting it as a chance to speak at the same time. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're here.
We've managed.
It's brilliant. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody listening in, but that's brilliant. We've managed to crack it. Well done, Nick. And Nick's far too modest to say this, but the work Nick has done, many of you will be aware of this for the WFA previously, but continues to do and work by my side. We were caught walking around a zoo, weren't we, not so long ago, a few weeks ago, strategising and talking about various different things about growth of the sport. Yeah.
Nothing to help you think about sport better than watching some penguins.
Exactly that. But it's a thank you from me, Nick, for everything you continue to do for the sport, which is hugely appreciated.
It's very kind of you. Thank you. What would you say so far? Nottingham just got the edge on the balance of play?
Yeah, a bit more territory. Early days, isn't it? But a little bit more territory in the first 5 minutes. There's no question that both teams will be targeting this as an opportunity.
I think I'd say Chris is probably the most experienced Bournemouth player.
Do you think so?
But yeah. Still relatively young.
Call there from the Bournemouth keeper to keep the momentum and keep them up that side of the court.
Interesting, isn't it? If you compare the tactics and the press you now get in wheelchair football, and all the talk you have in running game about that, once you get territory, keep it.
Yeah, we've had examples already this weekend, Nick, where obviously patterns of play have been worked on during the summer, as you'd expect in the close season, and there are signs that a lot of people have started to get more on the front foot. So we see it in the Premiership quite a lot with some teams more than others, but using the keeper Josh Slacker being a prime example of that, to come out and really close and smother teams in terms of a territory perspective, and that's been applied now in the Championship, which is great. So I think this season, this is wide open. There are several teams here that will really fancy an opportunity to get into that Premiership.
I've heard as well, I won't name the players so I jinx them, but I think there was an international camp earlier in the summer, and I've heard that a number of players have come back from that benefiting greatly, so their level of skill is upped as a result of getting a chance of a concentrated kind of week of coaching from probably some of the best, well, not some of the best players in England, definitely, and probably the world.
And we hear about this all the time, but I think the education that we put on around putting the games live on streaming makes it a huge, huge difference, because Ryan and I referenced it in the previous game that we watched, but there was a set piece that was very akin to what the United States do in terms of that movement going onto the ball. So, I mean, the more this sport gets covered, the better quality the coaching, the tactics will come into play, and we'll start to see a variety of new innovative approaches. So, in the game I was just watching, with Teesside Steel playing against Villa Lions. Just let this close out. Against Villa Lions, there were moments of innovation that were covered during that game. So a boom was attempted, and then there was that American-style corner that came in as well, just in the same game by the same team. So it just shows you where people are trying to innovate in terms of following new approaches, perhaps different to what they were doing last year.
I remember watching the American corner or free kick, if it was in that area, and initially it looked unplayable at the World Cup, didn't it?
Yeah.
They were more or less scoring 100%, and then players figured out a defence for it, and it neutralised it.
Very evident.
But it took a game, or, well, some games, to cut it off.
It did, and I think, well, from England's experience, losing the group game to two, I think it was 2 set pieces that the States put on like that, and then in the semi-final, winning the game and closing out those set pieces really well. So, yeah.
It's funny as well, because innovation isn't just in the play, is it? It's in the defence, too, how you defend against it.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
They look very confident, Forest, in their defence, don't they? Rogers locking it up at the back. Bosanquet is the keeper behind him.
Yeah.
It's kind of can Bournemouth put a couple of long passes together to break it up. Let's see.
It's quite a cagey start to the game, isn't it? Feeling their way into it, both teams, I think.
One you don't want to lose, but you've got to win it.
Had a bit of that on the certainly across both days in the first game week, where teams have been, they've not been neutral in their play at all. It's not what I mean, but they've been a sense of what have we got in front of us here, and get to grips with our own tactics and what we're trying to do, our patterns of play, and you can see that materialising in, particularly I think in the first halves of lots of games this weekend. Second half's normally a bit more expansive, a bit more open.
Meakin trying to find Cooper there, but the ball's not. Neither team able to put pace on the ball, really, are they? Not at the moment.
No.
I can just see on the sidelines there, Anton Weckeef, the Forest coach.
Yeah.
An increase. I don't know what the proportion is now, but in the time I've been watching it, higher and higher number of teams will have a ex-player as a coach, which is obviously great to see.
You can see that quite a lot, can't you? You can see a lot of players now as well that are playing. Think about the several opportunities now for Premiership players to come down and coach in this division, and you can see that's got to be a good thing for the sport, right? Particularly some of the ones that we're seeing that have got that international experience coming down and offering that into the Championship. It can only be a good thing for the sport.
Yeah, and in a way, a number of players retire from playing from the game, and obviously it's a huge commitment to get to a weekend. You don't necessarily see them again. Whereas if they can kind of retain an interest in coaching, even if they don't play, that kind of adds more, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anthony was in high spirits yesterday. Very smiley in front of me when he came up and we had a conversation.
Oh, has that gone in? No.
It's been called back.
I don't know if Forest feel like they have home fixtures, if you know what I mean. Just must be a nudge easier for them. Although I think they train in Mansfield, which is still a fair distance.
Yes. Yeah. No, perhaps don't have some of the same logistical challenges that other teams would have. Chances at a premium.
Yeah.
Here's a chance. Foiled.
Yeah, there's a bit of. I have to be careful how I phrase this. A bit of controversy around the playing balls this morning about whether they're the right size or not, the new batch.
Yes.
It might be an optical illusion, but no one's quite sure yet.
No, it's a strange one. So we've had the tape out and measuring it, so we're going to be err on the side of caution and just monitor a little bit. But yeah, I intercepted that a little bit earlier on. It can be quite deceptive, can't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes your eye deceives you a little bit.
And people not familiar perhaps with the risk, if the ball's a bit lower, the chair can roll over it, can't it, and tip. And so it might be rare, but it's not a risk worth taking.
So when you're playing with balls that have clearly been played for some time, you know that they are fit for purpose.
Yeah.
The right dimensions, and of course everything has been considered around the sport around that. So it's important. It might sound like a strange thing to have a conversation about, but they're important considerations.
So this is your second, is this right? Second full season?
It is.
Yeah.
So I started on the 1st of August 2023. So yeah, just over my first year now. Honeymoon period well and truly over, Nick.
Right.
But loving the sport.
And have you got anything new that you might be hoping to do this year that we want to talk about, or not yet?
Well, I think people have seen over particularly the last week actually, it's been a summer of a lot of activity, a lot of work, so bringing in the first ambassador, Ife Anora, that's a huge cue for us, not only because of his passion for football, some people perhaps won't be aware, but he's got quite a lengthy career in football as a player, and various stints of coaching as well, and I think at one stage was England under 21, one of their coaching members of the coaching staff. But Ife, in terms of his current role, hasn't lost any of that passion at all, and works for the Premier League as the head of ED&I, so Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. So think about how that is very specific in the sport that we have, and it's certainly some of our objectives to follow around our medium-term strategy. That's very important, and I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Ife and on a conversation. First and foremost, he's a very likeable chap, but also, as I just mentioned, the passion for football is 100% there, and then it's about
given.
Goal has been given.
So
deemed as an appropriate goal.
Priestley.
Forest 1-0 up.
For Forest. Boswell, I'm very unhappy with that, thinks he saved it. Referee well positioned though.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. So yes, back to, sorry Nick, it was an inconvenient time to go into that long spiel about that bit, but if he has and is willing to use the opportunity and the platform that he has to have conversations and promote the sport, and I'm sure he will be a presence when we can get him. He's a busy man, but we can get him to attend.
Oh yes, an immediate response from Bournemouth.
Immediate
King
equaliser.
has lost his shoe in his celebration.
He's nothing if not exuberant.
Yeah. So kind of return off. Oh, is he? Just need the ref to. Are we going to see the signal? Yep, definitely 1-0.
Yep. That was very quick, that equaliser.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it sparks into life.
Not uncommon to see a goal return direct from a goal kick. Well done, Chris, for being alert and aware.
Exactly.
Good skills to send it straight back. Very difficult as well, because the keeper's momentum is always away. They'll have swung into the ball, they're away from it. Reminds me slightly of, was it a Pickford against Belgium in a friendly before the Euros, and terrible pass out, more or less straight to the Belgians who scored direct
I vaguely
back.
remember that.
Fewer excuses for Pickford.
Chris's shoe is back on. We're ready to go.
Now, I think I'm pretty sure you can get a yellow card for taking your shirt off. Are you allowed to throw your shoes off?
I'm not sure that was in celebration, but let's if it was.
Could start a new trend.
Yes. As long as it's limited to just shoes.
Yes. I have only seen it once, but I have seen a player. Oh, another quick response. So this has sharpened up since that first
really
Forest goal,
has,
and no doubt about that one.
Off the post and then just poached at the back corner there. So 2-1 Forest.
Is that Priestley again, I think, wasn't it?
No, I think.
Cooper, far left.
The initial shot hit the post, came out, and then he was very alert. Nudged it over the line.
Again, I don't know if Cooper plays in regionals. Although I missed a lot of last year, I can't recall seeing Cooper playing for Forest before. So perhaps his first season.
You'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I was saying I have seen a player take the shirt off in celebration
Is that
in power
right?
chair football.
Who was that?
I won't say. They did get carded.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
had to.
There you go. Big cheer from the other court. Looks like Muscle Warriors have just scored. They have. Against Surrey United. They've started the season very well, Muscle Warriors, you know. Extremely well.
They've always been a rock solid presence in the Championship.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them kind of on fire before, but from what I wasn't here yesterday, from what I've heard, they're off to a flyer.
Yeah, they were very good yesterday.
I haven't followed particularly the transfers around the Championship. Seems to be a lot of transfers going on in the Premiership. That'll be a very interesting weekend in a month or so's time when it starts.
Yeah, lots of people have commented on that. I won't be overly familiar with all of them myself, actually, but there's been a lot of change, a lot of swapping around, a few loans that have come in as well from people that are at Premiership clubs, and we saw an instance of that yesterday. I think Stanley, forgive me if it's not the right surname, Stanley Ball, I think, and Ryan was sharing with me a lovely story where he'd literally started up playing power chair football in Farnham, went into the regional leagues, went to Seven Oaks. He's now been loaned from Seven Oaks in the Premiership down to here,
right,
and scored 2 goals at the back end of yesterday, which is fantastic. Lovely story for anyone wanting to come into the sport who initially might approach it from a recreational perspective, and then if they want that competition and want to test their ability, growing through the ranks and then ending up in the National League, which is fantastic.
Well, it does make you realise how passionate the players are.
Yeah.
When you understand how far many of them will travel for training.
Yes.
Obviously, they all have to come to Nottingham to play, but that training and regional league commitment is quite significant.
Oh, we should appropriately give the round of applause there to the parents and carers that make that even possible for a lot of the players. Just about time.
There we go. Good first up for both, really.
Yep.
I think Forest have just got the. I know they're 2-1 up, but I'd say it's theirs to lose from what they've shown us so far.
They look more likely, don't they? They definitely look more likely.
So, should we have a break and we'll let the coaches do their thing and we'll come back to the second half?
Let's do exactly that. Pleasure, Nick.
Welcome back. Second half. Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest playing away from the camera in white. Bournemouth playing towards us in their traditional black and red stripes. It's Nick Woodward speaking, and I'm joined by Dean Williams. Hi, Dean.
Hello, Nick. Hello, everybody else. Slender advantage for Nottingham Forest, which they'll be hoping clearly to hold on to come the next 20 minutes. All for Bournemouth to do. Not much in the game, though, was there, Nick?
No. Kind of push over in the first goal, pushed over the line. Keeper felt maybe he'd saved it, but the ref gave it. And then a good response from Chris King off a goal kick, direct back to the keeper. Keeper out of position in a goal. And then a kind of classic across the goal mouth to the far post. And came off the post, but then finished by the winger. And so Hannam is on for Bournemouth, Berry off, and I can see Meekins off, which must mean that have we got on? Is that Priestley on? Yes. Thinking that sub happened previously and I didn't notice it. But
that's a real chance there. So Chris King
yeah.
again, very dynamic in his approach, and that looked quite innocent, really. That, and it rolled through, came off the post, close to an equaliser.
So I think in the old days, Bournemouth had a very attacking style and some players who were not afraid to unleash it from long distance. So I guess a lot of that was done on the training pitch. Chris will still retain those skills.
I was going to say,
desire.
You mentioned Chris was their long-standing player, so it would have been in his time.
Both keepers under pressure in the first few minutes.
Yeah, both seeming a little bit uncertain there.
Yeah. It's tricky, isn't it? Because if you're not used to the game and the pace, again, I think it's Boswell in the Bournemouth goal, sorry. I'm not sure I've seen him play in the Championship before. The mistakes you make as a keeper are much more punished much harder in this game.
It's an unforgiving environment.
Yeah, whereas you can be on the wing and not quite get to it and it just goes past you. You've got to be very, very sure.
Yeah.
So Forest with a set play. Oh, did it touch? Yeah,
it did.
So those kicks will normally not be direct, and
it definitely touched.
Yeah, well positioned just by Priestley.
Just the back of the chair.
Yeah.
That's all it took. Tiny little nudge. 3-1. That's a bit of daylight, a bit of comfort. No, Reimer's mentioned this an awful lot yesterday when I was co-commentating with him about people approaching the National League at this level for the first time. The pace, the difference will be very apparent.
It's tough as well. I hadn't appreciated the. You'll be playing in the regional league. There's still a set of qualifications required to get out of the regional league, and then through the qualifiers, if they're held, to play in the national league. So you're a winning team coming out of that environment, and then find it very harsh. And often you will have played in the regional leagues against Premier League players.
Yeah. So there'll be an awareness, won't there? But it's again, when you're competing and challenging in the National League, it will feel, I guess, pretty relentless because of the pace of the game and the quality that's on show.
I can't think of a regional league that has 2 days in a row as well. I'm not sure the extent to which that adds. You may play the same number of games. No, you couldn't play that. Well done, Forest.
Yeah, they're running away with this now.
Yeah, Priestley and Rogers have got their mojo. Between the two of them, got the last couple of goals. Cooper on the wing and Bosanquet not needed for that.
Bournemouth coach is cutting a couple of sad figures right now, obviously. Based on that, that's all happened very, very quickly in the second half. Within 5 minutes second half, 4-1 to Forest.
Now, I think the official on one of the other pitches is Chris King's brother. And he's watching the wrong game.
Yeah, Jamie, yeah.
He's watching Chris, not keeping his eye on this game. He's back on it now.
Focus, Jamie, focus.
Yeah. So that's another feature, obviously none of this runs without the officials. The number of officials across all of the line and centre now. I think, again, when I started, there'd have been a lot of club volunteers who would be running the line.
Yeah.
Again, that's great development, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That particular ambition in terms of making sure we constantly challenge and nudge more professionalism into the sport by having a bank of referees and officials that can come in and do the National League weekends. That's a really important thing. Which, of course, is not only about the right level of governance across the sport, and particularly in the cases we're mentioning there, the game, but it's also about how that continually develops the referees and the officials in terms of the amount of games that they're covering. So, no, we're very grateful for that. That's an important aspect.
I mean, there is another thing as well. The kind of carers and coaches around the team really are owed a break as well, and often you'll see some of them will be there for the team's game, and then do a bit of officiating afterwards. So it's a hard weekend for them. So it's actually better to see officials who aren't associated with the team when they're on the pitch. They can have a rest. I can't think of another sport, maybe a swimming meet, where you'd have so much competition for so long over a weekend.
It's pretty intense, isn't it? It's pretty intense. Yeah, I mean, we feel it. We love it. We feel it from a point of view of a team that comes in and facilitates over a weekend. But from a playing perspective, it's pretty full on.
Yeah.
Although nobody really says that they don't want to play football. They play and play and play and play, don't they? So the overwhelming thing that some of the unsolicited things that come towards me is just that delight and a lot of information and a lot of communication around what a difference it makes to people to play the sport.
Yeah.
And that's hugely important to us, obviously.
I mean, there's a couple of clubs, they must have dozens of players through the hierarchy leading up to the top team.
Yeah.
Developments, training for fun,
yeah.
training for development, development squad, second team, first team.
You can see it with some of the squads actually. Hull and Luke Brennan is sitting to your right, a key member of the Hull and East Yorkshire team, and they are fully stacked as a squad.
I always call them the Eels.
Yes.
What's the official title? Is it Hull and East Yorkshire?
Eels, isn't it?
Another chance for Nottingham. Keeper's out. Is he going to finish it? Well done. I think that's a hat-trick for Priestley.
I think it is.
So 5-1 to Forest. No coming. I can't see Bournemouth coming back now.
I think that's... You never know in football, as they say, but I think highly unlikely. 11 minutes just over to go. It's run away from Bournemouth a bit, hasn't it? It was not much in it at all in the first half, and it's absolutely been taken away from them. Priestley, as you say, has made a huge difference. This will be, if it stays like this, a very welcome 3 points for Nottingham.
Now, obviously you've got Bazball in cricket. We were talking about Carl's ball yesterday for England. Not sure I like it.
That's a bit early, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if we need a similar moniker somewhere in power chair football.
Yes. I'm sure there'll be some coaches and they want to lay claim to that.
Oh, a bit unlucky. Has Boswell rescued it? No, given. Again, Priestley on the attack, forcing an error from the keeper. 6-1. 6-1 to Forest. So I looked at the goal difference earlier, 4 games, that's Bournemouth at -26 now. That's a tough first weekend, isn't it?
It very much is. They've got some reflecting to do, haven't they? And I'll say it again, it's interesting because there was nothing in this game in the first half, and then all of a sudden it's gone away from them, and it just seems to... There's a capitulation's the word, isn't it, really? It's just got worse. It feels like every attack there's a vulnerability now.
Yeah, again Priestley's pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give him...
Looks like he can't believe himself.
Yeah, I think you have to give him credit because he's...
he's read it, hasn't he?
Absolutely. But
7-1. Deep conversation between the Bournemouth players and the coaches there.
Bit of an inquest going on. Not quite sure what that's about.
Nice touch by Hannam, intercepted by Rodgers. I mean, obviously they've not changed the speeds of their chairs, but somehow Rodgers and Priestley look keener and quicker. Maybe just a bit more space. Maybe Bournemouth have, at 2-1, they've come out and pushed up for the win and left space, and Forest have taken advantage.
There's also that motivation will come into it, won't it, in terms of when you're in a position they're in now, 7-1.
Yeah.
As a deficit. The reality is it's a bit about motivation, but anticipation's so big in this sport.
Yeah.
So if you've got that motivation, you're more on the front foot. Then there you go. Is that another one? No.
No. Maybe it went over height.
I think it
free kick given.
But yeah, I think those two things. That's probably what we're seeing now, isn't it? You've got front foot motivation, but you've anticipation stronger. Therefore,
so. Gary Lineker, when he talks about strikers, he always says, my job was to get where the ball might go to have a chance of scoring, not to go where it may be going, because then I'll definitely be there when there's the chance. And that's even more so in wheelchair football, because you cannot beat the speed of the ball. You have to set off probably before the other players hit it.
We were talking about the quality, Ryan and I, yesterday on commentary about the quality of reversing. So therefore chair positioning, and the very best players execute that brilliantly, and they spend so much time in reverse just to make sure their chair, the ball is coming towards them, the chair is there, which gives them the optimum opportunity to get a strike on that ball that's going to be decisive. And you can see it an awful lot with at this elite level, and you know, quite often when you see players that perhaps have mastered that, that's a big factor, isn't it, in terms of their development, their own skill.
So Meakin on for Rodgers. So just as you say that, Hannam was the only player then set up in reverse for an attack. Everyone else was playing towards the ball.
Yeah.
And without the swing, you don't get quite as much power on the ball either.
That's right.
So another free kick, not setting up for the goal like they had previously, Forest. Oh, no, I misread that. Touch to Cooper. Oh, good work by King.
Yeah, good coverage.
So again, another training ground play there. I thought they were going to set up for the direct and the touch. But Cooper playing it across to Priestley. Priestley not being able to touch it onto Cooper's gone out for a kick in. Hannam not given much option by his teammates there. King touches off Cooper. So just about 5 minutes left for Bournemouth to try and get a goal back. Just I think to, I don't know, salvage pride sounds like the wrong word, to, you know, excite themselves. I think they'll have one more game, give themselves a bit of confidence, although they had one this morning. This might be their last game for the weekend.
It may well be for today. Ryan normally says to me, who's your nomination for player of the match?
Right.
It's a bit early yet, but Priestley must have a big say in that, I think.
If you get a hat trick.
And some.
Yeah.
How many's he got, Nick?
I think 4.
Okay.
I can't think who the other 3 are by.
There could be more to come.
I do know. I do think they try and schedule the games so that if you've got a greater distance to travel, you don't have as far on a weekend, and share that round. So Bournemouth will have a longer journey than many.
It'd be nice to see them get something additional from this game, just to give them a little bit of a tick at the end, because it's the game has gone clearly with 4 minutes remaining. Forest still looking incredibly dangerous when they come forward. It's all that
Bournemouth very reliant on Chris King intercepting, aren't they?
Yeah.
Defensively.
Yeah.
So same set play to Priestley. Priestley on. Oh! I'm going to give them a lot of credit there, because they set that up to look like they did previously, didn't they? Where it was going to go on to Cooper on the post.
Yeah. And
Priestley just comes in early and puts it into the gap and straight into the goal. 8-1.
And if that's correct, what you said, 5 goals.
At least, yeah. I'm just trying to think. I think this will be one of Forest's highest wins for some seasons.
For some time, I would have thought, 100%.
They've done well.
There'll be a statistician out there
in
Forest that will let us know that, I'm sure.
2-on-1. I think that's the first 2-on-1.
Yeah, not seen many of them, if any.
Maybe one early, a couple early for free kicks, but it's not quite as demonstrative as all refs, is he?
Putting a shift the officials, you noticed it yesterday, because it's quite deceptive when you're sitting doing commentary, when you're out there on the move constantly.
Well, you see them come off, and often they've got a sweat on. It's a lot of running and sprinting actually, as well as that. We don't have fitness tests for our refs, do we? If anyone's listening, that's a joke. That's a joke, Jeff Lewis. That's a joke.
If he's listening, Jeff would be very interested in that. I think he'd back himself, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Well, he'd set the fitness levels appropriate. I think, charging from Priestley there. So 60 seconds roughly on the clock.
I think we can safely say Priestley has the player of the match.
Yes.
Sparkling individual performance, that. He's been on them all the time. The pressing we talked about earlier on, Nick, in the game. He's just been on them all the time, hasn't he?
And they have switched, haven't they? Meakin's playing in the middle. He's come in from the wing this time. But I think you're meant to add a few seconds for every goal, aren't you? But that would seem unnecessary. West's looking at his watch. 10 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I don't think he'll add much on.
Interception by Meakin. Oh, absolutely on the money. Not a second of extra time.
nothing added on there really. Congratulations to Forest.
Yeah, very well done, Forest.
Extremely convincing win. Commiserations to Bournemouth, and there's a lot of reflecting to do there, isn't there? But as I say, in the first half there was nothing in that game at all, and then it's just completely gone away from them.
Well done, Priestley.
Yes, very good performance. Very good performance.
Right, nice to do this commentary with you, Dean.
Always nice to be in your company, Nick.
Bid the viewers goodbye.
Yes, we should.
Right, goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.